Welcome everyone to Media Strategy and Choices, from media planning to media strategy development. So let's start off with traditional media planning. And what I mean by traditional media planning is the way it used to look like back when we had no social and digital. So we had ad campaign planning, media planning, ad campaign design, advertising design and production, and campaign execution. A nice, smooth 5-step process. And look, you can come back to this if you need to, because it's still quite a solid process to look at and go through. But it does not really consider how quickly things have changed with the advent of digital and social media. So things are definitely changing. The new world is looking and understanding the consumer from the word go. We need to understand who they are, how they behave, all the different variables which may influence them. We now talk about a journey orchestration when it comes to strategy. A customer journey is a new buzzword in marketing, and that's taking the consumer all the way, not just from awareness to perhaps buying the product, but to relationship with the brand in a long-term sense. We now consider optimization to be always in a real-time sense, but also current, and now based largely with input from AI and algorithms, a la Google, for example. And now we talk about distributing media. It's not just done through what we call channels, but also now through partnerships and real-time allocation live through things like auction houses, which sell ads in seconds based on cookies on your computer. Content itself has changed. It's becoming more dynamic and more able to be updated live and to be more targeted specifically to what the consumer looks at. The content can be generated sometimes on the spot based on what the consumer might be looking at, but also based on their past history on what they may have consumed already, both online and offline. The audience itself, we're moving now to smaller audiences because we can, thanks to social media and digital media. And instead of having the wider mass markets, we also now focus more on very narrow behavioral segmentation or meeting people's needs. So media planning used to be strategy, the creative, then the media, and then hopefully things work. Now it's a cycle which goes strategy to creative to media planning and buying, and then back to strategy again. And that cycle can happen sometimes not just on a daily basis, but sometimes in an hourly way. So before, where it used to be set and forget, now it's a lot more quicker and a lot more dynamic. It can actually move that quickly that we do change strategy on the hour sometimes. So planning and knowing what is going to work and what is going to work is more important than ever with tough markets and tight budgets. So you need to have a plan in mind on how you might execute your strategy. Yes, things may change very, very quickly in a media sense, but behind the media is still an overall strategy and objective driving your campaign. We are marketers after all, so keep on thinking about that. Keep on realizing that advertising can't do everything because it's not meant to. It is only one element of one element, and even then it is the delivery mechanism for other functions in marketing and communications. So regardless if you believe in 4, 7, or some other different marketing paradigm, such as relationship marketing, advertising and comms needs to be consistent with the overall brand and corporate strategy. Remember, advertising strategy is not corporate strategy. It is just the end of the line, so to speak, of all the strategy which has come before it in a corporate business and marketing sense. So let's move into media planning now. Media planning is exactly that. Planning how you're going to use your media to pull off your objectives. Easier said than done, you say? Absolutely, like so many other things in marketing. You are working off a budget, usually between nothing and zero, and in one of the most competitive markets in the world, information. So you need to select media which is going to best meet your objectives. And yes, there is a process you can follow, like many things in marketing. So here we have this process, which is design, activate, optimize, and understand. And as you can see, being a circle, it means that that process is never ending. Compared to the linear processes we've seen in the past in marketing, most modern processes in marketing underscore the fact that marketing is dynamic and never ever sleeps. So when it comes to media planning, there is a pyramid approach you can follow. Marketers, we do love pyramids. But also keep in mind the budget and attention focus. So you can see here how this pyramid on the screen's left-hand side has a suggested budget and role. And on the right-hand side is the attention. And you can see where each of these things may cost money. So keep in mind your budget, but also keep in mind you need to capture attention. And to do that, sometimes will cost a fair bit of money. So you have to balance it out between what you'd like to do with your media and what you need to do when it comes to your attention. There are some key terms to understand with media buying. There are demand side platforms. So this is where media buyers and agencies manage and purchase digital advertising inventory for multiple ad networks through one interface. There are also ad networks, which are advertising network aggregates, categorizes, and sells a range of publisher inventory in a way that can be easily understood and purchased by advertisers on a fixed CPM basis, connecting advertisers to websites that want to host advertisements. There's a lot of terms here to look at, but the main thing is that you just need to understand them. You don't need to remember them. This is one view of how it is in the real world. And here we have a 60-30-10. Many of the world's most successful digital marketing campaigns follow exactly the same formula. 5% of budget is spent on pre-planning and strategy. 30% on developing an idea and creating it. Hello, creative strategy. 60% on paid media to promote the creative. Hello, content strategy. And 5% analysis and measuring the results post-campaign. 60, 30, 10. 10 on strategy measurement, 30 on creative on ideas, and 60% on paid media. But media buying is about money ultimately. Another perspective of the real world is opposite. For your project, you are lucky. You need only to worry about advertising and IMC breakdown. In the real world, your budget would include everything opposite. So in other words, what I've taken out of there are costs and fees like labor and things like agencies and marketing technology. As a guide, on average, 12% of a company's revenue is spent on marketing. Of that spend, around 65% is on advertising. And you can see of that 65% figure, then from that figure opposite there, how much money is then spent on different aspects of advertising. So ultimately, your media buying budget is around probably 50% of your overall spend on advertising through a year. Okay, let's look at scheduling now. To help with media buying, you need to have a schedule. In other words, when would you like things run to most optimize and maximize opportunities for your brand? This is a very simple schedule to do. You can do it in Excel, very easy to make, as you can see, and a bit of color never goes astray. A schedule helps with planning your buying, but also helps coordinate what will happen when, but also what content and platform you'll use to hit your objectives. An explanation on scheduling should also be in your content strategy section, but also provided again briefly with your chart. So don't feel bad if you duplicate each one, that's fine. You should also be highlighting critical customer touchpoints in your schedule as comms opposite. For example, Christmas, Black Friday, Singles Day, whatever it happens to be. If there's a critical customer touch point or purchasing moments, that should be in your schedule as well. Keep in mind that scheduling is getting harder in the age of social and digital. These two methods are 365, 24/7, and never ever stop. Something we've probably seen highlighted best in the coronavirus crisis is that point. You need to plan ahead and produce content nearly every single week, and there is no rest. There is not. Some call this area the hungry beast for a reason, and it is, because to produce content all the time for your social and digital channels takes a lot of work and a lot of money. All right, that's a very brief lecture. I hope it covers media scheduling and buying quite adequately. If not, drop me a line, let me know, and stay tuned for the next thrilling lecture on advertising. Bye for now.